Like, subscribe, and turn on notification for more amazing video. Respect!
Alien girl came running and hid behind me. The reason will make you cry. The alien marketplace on Proxima Station was a chaotic mess of sounds, smells, and colors that would overwhelm most humans. Not me. After 5 years running a repair shop on this backwater transit hub, I'd developed a tolerance for the bizarre. The station hung in orbit around a gas giant, serving as a crossroads for a dozen different species, most of whom barely tolerated each other. I adjusted my worn black jacket with its metal shoulder plates, salvaged from a decommissioned Earth military vessel, and continued my trek through the dusty Central Plaza. The heavy armored boots I wore had seen better days, but they still intimidated when necessary. And in a place like this, looking intimidating was sometimes the difference between life and death. "Adam Reeves," a voice called from one of the stalls. A four-armed Ventari merchant waved one of his upper limbs. "Those power converters you ordered finally arrived." I nodded and changed course. "About damn time. My customers have been breathing down my neck for weeks." "Supply chains aren't what they used to be since the consortium expanded their territory," the Ventari said with a shrug of all four shoulders. I was halfway to his stall when I felt something small collide with the back of my legs, something warm and trembling. Looking down, I saw a little humanoid alien girl, no older than 4 by human standards, with soft light blue skin and long, flowing silvery hair. Her huge almond-shaped eyes, a deep indigo that seemed to contain galaxies, stared up at me with unmistakable terror. Her pink jumpsuit was tattered at the edges, and she clutched a small stuffed toy that resembled nothing I recognized. "Hey there," I said, my voice automatically softening. "You lost?" She didn't respond, just pressed herself harder against my legs, her tiny fingers gripping the fabric of my pants with surprising strength. That's when I heard the shouting, a male voice slurred with what I recognized as intoxication in almost any species. "Girl, get back here now!" A tall, blue-skinned humanoid pushed through the crowd, his face contorted with rage. He wore expensive clothes that couldn't quite hide his disheveled state. Behind him trailed a slender female of the same species, her silver hair identical to the child's, her deep blue eyes downcast. She wore a simple dress that couldn't hide her grace, nor the fading bruise on her cheek. The little girl whimpered and tried to make herself smaller behind me. Something cold and hard settled in my stomach. I'd seen this scenario play out too many times across too many worlds. "Can I help you?" I asked, my voice dropping an octave as I shifted my stance to place myself more firmly between the approaching male and the child. "That's my daughter," he snarled, pointing a long, 6-fingered hand. "She's being disobedient." "Move aside, human." "She seems scared," I replied, not budging an inch. "Maybe we should all calm down and talk this through." The alien male's skin darkened with anger, or whatever passed for it in his species. "This is not your concern. Move. Now." I felt the little girl's grip tighten on my pant leg. Actually, when a kid hides behind me terrified, it becomes my concern. I crossed my arms, making sure the muscle definition I'd earned through years of mechanical work was visible. "So how about we all take a breath?" The alien took a step forward, then hesitated. His eyes flicked over my frame, assessing. I knew what he saw, a human male in his prime, scarred and solid. Not someone to trifle with casually. "Reth," the female said softly, touching his arm. "Not here." "Too many witnesses." The words sent a chill through me. Too many witnesses for what exactly? The male, Reth, glared at me, then at his wife. "Fine," he spat. "Bring her Nira." The woman, Nira, approached cautiously. When she drew near, she knelt down to the girl's level. "Come, Miri," she whispered. "We must go now." The little girl, Miri, shook her head violently, still clinging to me. "It's okay," Nira continued, her voice barely audible. "I won't let anything happen. Please." There was something in her tone, desperation, fear, resignation, that made my chest tighten. Miri finally released her grip on my pants and took her mother's outstretched hand. As Nira stood, our eyes met briefly. In that moment, I saw something that haunted me for days afterward, a silent plea, a recognition, a connection that transcended species. Then they were gone, swallowed by the crowd, leaving me standing alone with an uneasy feeling that I'd just witnessed the prelude to something terrible. "You okay, Adam?" the Ventari merchant called. I shook my head. Yeah. I walked over to collect my parts, but my mind stayed with the blue-skinned family and the fear in that little girl's eyes. I didn't know then that I would see them again. I didn't know that the encounter would change the course of my life forever. 3 days passed, but I couldn't shake the image of those frightened indigo eyes from my mind. I found myself scanning the marketplace crowds, hoping to catch a glimpse of silver hair. Each time the repair shop door chimed, I looked up expectantly, only to feel a strange disappointment when it was just another customer. That night I was working late, elbow deep in the guts of a malfunctioning atmospheric regulator. The station's artificial day cycle had long since shifted to night mode, dimming the corridor lights outside my shop. Most of the other businesses had closed hours ago, leaving this section of Proxima Station eerily quiet. The sudden, urgent knocking startled me so badly I sliced my finger on a sharp edge of metal. "Damn it," I muttered, wrapping a rag around the cut as I moved toward the door. Probably some spacer with an emergency repair that couldn't wait until morning. It wouldn't be the first time. I hit the door release, a sarcastic greeting dying on my lips as I saw who stood in the dim corridor light. Nira, the blue-skinned alien woman from the marketplace, clutched a sleeping Miri to her chest. A small bag hung from her shoulder. Even in the poor lighting, I could see the fresh bruises darkening her face, the swelling around one eye. "Please help us," she whispered, her voice breaking on the last word. I pulled them inside without hesitation, quickly securing the door behind them. "Are you being followed?" "I don't think so. Reth is unconscious." Something in her tone suggested she'd ensured this condition herself. "But when he wakes..." She shuddered. I guided her to the small living quarters behind my shop. It wasn't much. A kitchenette, a sitting area with a worn couch, and a bedroom through a door at the back. But it was clean and secure. "Sit. Let me get you something for those bruises." Nira carefully laid Miri on the couch, tucking a blanket around her. The child stirred but didn't wake. Up close, I could see the exhaustion etched into Nira's delicate features, the way her hands trembled slightly. I returned with a med kit and some water. "May I?" I asked, gesturing to her injuries. She nodded, and I gently applied a cooling gel to the worst of the bruising. Her skin felt smoother than human skin, almost like satin beneath my fingertips. A faint, pleasant scent like cinnamon and something alien emanated from her. "Thank you," she said softly, her eyes meeting mine. "I didn't know where else to go. You were kind in the marketplace." "Anyone would have done the same," I replied, though we both knew that wasn't true. "No, they wouldn't." Her gaze was steady now. "I've been watching you these past days, asking about you. The Ventari merchant speaks highly of you, says you're fair, even to species most humans avoid." I felt an unexpected warmth at her words. "What happened tonight?" I asked, changing the subject. Nira's expression darkened. "Reth lost heavily at the gaming tables. He came home worse than usual." She glanced at her sleeping daughter. "When he raised his hand to Miri, I struck him with a cooking pan. I've never fought back before." "You did the right thing," I said firmly. "Both of you can stay here tonight. We'll figure out next steps in the morning." Relief flooded her features. "I can't repay you now, but..." "I don't want payment," I interrupted. "Just rest. You're safe here." As I prepared a makeshift bed for myself on the floor of the living area, insisting they take the bedroom, I caught Nira watching me with an expression I couldn't quite read. "Adam," she said my name tentatively, as if testing how it felt on her tongue. "On my world, there's a belief that the universe places certain people in our paths for a reason. I think perhaps you were placed in ours." Something shifted between us in that moment, a connection that transcended our different species, our different worlds. I felt drawn to her in a way I hadn't experienced before. It wasn't just her exotic beauty or the vulnerability she showed. It was something deeper, a recognition of kindred spirits. "Get some rest," I said, my voice rougher than I intended. "Tomorrow we'll work out how to get you both somewhere safe." She nodded and moved toward the bedroom, pausing at the doorway. "My people can sense emotions, you know. It's not mind reading, just impressions. Your kindness has a particular warmth to it. A faint blue flush spread across her cheeks. It's pleasant. After she closed the door, I sat in the dim light of my quarters, listening to the hum of the station's life support systems and wondering what the hell I was getting myself into. I'd spent 5 years avoiding entanglements, keeping to myself, and now I was harboring fugitives from one of the wealthier alien families on the station. Yet somehow I couldn't bring myself to regret opening that door. Morning on Proxima Station arrived with the artificial brightening of corridor lights and the distant hum of environmental systems cycling to daytime settings. I woke on my makeshift floor bed to find Miri sitting cross-legged beside me, studying my face with unabashed curiosity. "Your skin is different," she said, reaching out to touch my stubbled cheek. "Rough." I smiled, sitting up slowly so as not to startle her. "Good morning to you, too. Mother says you're going to help us." Her indigo eyes held mine with surprising directness for a child her age. "Are you?" "Yes," I answered without hesitation. "I am." She nodded solemnly, as if my answer confirmed something important. "Good. Father is angry. I can feel it even from here." Before I could ask what she meant, my comm unit buzzed with an incoming alert. I checked the screen and felt my stomach drop. "Station-wide bulletin," I read aloud as Nira emerged from the bedroom, her silver hair tousled from sleep. "Prominent businessman Reth Valen offers substantial reward for information regarding the whereabouts of his wife and daughter, allegedly abducted from their home last night." Nira's face drained of color, the blue of her skin turning almost ashen. "Abducted? That's what he's claiming?" I scrolled through the details. "Says he returned home to find signs of struggle and you both missing. He's got station security involved." "They'll believe him," she said, her voice hollow. "He has influence, connections. I'm just property to him." I stood, my decision already made. "Then we need to get you both off this station. Today." While Nira prepared a simple breakfast for Miri from my limited supplies, I made a series of discreet calls. 5 years of fixing everything from luxury yacht engines to smugglers' cloaking devices had earned me connections throughout Proxima's shadier circles. "I think I have a way," I said, joining them at my small table. "There's a cargo pilot I know, human woman named Tessa. She's making a run to New Horizon Colony today. If we can get you aboard her ship." "New Horizon?" Nira looked up, hope flickering in her eyes. "The human settlement?" I nodded. "It's under Earth Alliance jurisdiction. Reth would have no legal claim on you there. Human laws don't recognize spousal ownership." "How do we get to this ship without being seen?" "The docking bays will be watched." "Leave that to me," I said with more confidence than I felt. I spent the next hour gathering supplies while monitoring station security channels through a modified scanner, another unofficial repair job that had paid in equipment rather than credits. Security patrols had indeed been doubled in the docking areas, and random ID checks were being conducted in the main corridors. When I returned to the living area, I found Nira standing by the small viewport that looked out onto the station's central spine. The artificial light caught the silver in her hair, creating an almost luminous halo effect. "You're risking everything for us," she said without turning. "Why?" I set down the bag of supplies and moved to stand beside her. "Because it's the right thing to do." She turned then, her eyes searching mine. "There must be more to it than that. Your kind doesn't typically involve themselves in alien domestic disputes." "Maybe I'm not typical," I replied with a half smile. "No," she agreed, stepping closer. "You're not." The air between us seemed to charge with something electric. I became acutely aware of her scent, that cinnamon-like spice mixed with something uniquely her. Her eyes dropped briefly to my lips before meeting my gaze again. "My people have a saying," she murmured. "Crisis reveals truth. In danger, we see clearly what matters." Her hand rose to touch my face, fingers tracing the line of my jaw with wonder, much as Miri had done earlier, but with an entirely different intent. The touch sent a current through me that had nothing to do with the station's electrical systems. "I've never..." She hesitated. "Humans are considered fascinating by my kind. Your emotions are so vivid, so unfiltered. I can feel your desire, your concern, your determination, all at once." I covered her hand with mine, turning my face slightly to press my lips against her palm. Her breath caught. "Is this acceptable?" I asked, suddenly aware of potential cultural taboos I might be violating. A smile curved her lips. "More than acceptable. Among my people, a connection like this, one born of protection and trust, is considered the most sacred." She leaned forward, her lips meeting mine in a tentative kiss that quickly deepened. Her mouth was warmer than a human's, her taste subtly sweet. I pulled her closer, feeling the delicate strength in her slender frame as she pressed against me. A small giggle broke the moment. We separated to find Miri watching us from the doorway, her hand covering her mouth. "Mother is glowing," she announced with childish delight. I looked back at Nira and realized the child meant it literally. A faint luminescence had appeared beneath Nira's skin, pulsing gently with her quickened heartbeat. Nira's cheeks darkened with what I now recognized as her species version of a blush. "An involuntary response," she explained softly, "to strong emotion." The moment was interrupted by an urgent alert from my scanner. I reluctantly stepped away to check it. "They're implementing a sector-by-sector search," I said, my mind shifting back to our precarious situation. "We need to move now, before they reach this section." Nira nodded, the glow fading from her skin as she turned to gather Miri. The look we exchanged held a promise, a conversation to be continued when we were safe. If we made it to safety. "Hold still," I whispered, applying the temporary skin pigment to Miri's exposed arms and face. The spray darkened her light blue skin to a deeper indigo. Not perfect, but enough to make her less immediately recognizable. "It tickles," she giggled, squirming as I finished the application. Nira knelt beside us, her own skin already modified to match. "Remember what we practiced, little one? You're to call Adam uncle, if anyone asks." I packed the disguise kit into my repair bag alongside tools I hoped we wouldn't need. A plasma cutter, electromagnetic pulse generator, and a small stunner that technically wasn't legal for civilians. My repair credentials would get us into the maintenance tunnels, but after that we'd be improvising. "Ready?" I asked, handing Nira a maintenance jumpsuit I'd modified to fit her slender frame. She nodded, slipping it on over her clothes. The utilitarian gray fabric couldn't hide her natural grace, but it helped her blend with station workers. "You look good in human clothes," I said before I could stop myself. Her skin pulsed with that subtle glow again. "Is that relevant to our escape plan?" she asked, but her tone was teasing. "Absolutely critical," I replied with a wink that made Miri giggle again. I checked the security scanner one last time. "They're 2 sectors away. We move now." The maintenance access in my shop's back storage room led to a labyrinth of service tunnels that ran throughout Proxima Station. Most residents never saw these passages, but for repair technicians like me, they were highways to anywhere on the station. "Stay close," I instructed, leading them into the dimly lit corridor. "And quiet." We moved swiftly through the narrow passages, the hum of machinery growing louder as we approached the station's central core. Miri clung to her mother's hand, wide-eyed but silent. The child's courage impressed me. She seemed to understand the gravity of our situation despite her young age. After 20 minutes of navigating the maze-like tunnels, we reached a junction that would take us directly to the cargo docking area. I paused, checking my handheld scanner. "Clear so far," I whispered. "Just a little further and—" A mechanical whirring interrupted me. Around the corner floated a security drone, a spherical unit with multiple sensor arrays and a direct link to station security. I shoved Nira and Miri back into the shadows, but it was too late. The drone's sensors had detected our heat signatures. "Unauthorized personnel in maintenance sector 42B, the drone announced in its flat synthetic voice. "Identify immediately or security will be dispatched." I stepped forward, holding up my repair credentials. "Adam Reeves, licensed technician. I'm conducting emergency repairs on environmental controls." I gestured vaguely at a nearby conduit. The drone hovered closer, its scanning beam sweeping over me. "Credentials confirmed. However, 2 additional life forms detected. All personnel must be registered for access." "They're trainees," I improvised. "Paperwork still processing." The drone paused, its lights blinking as it processed this information. "Insufficient. All personnel must present valid credentials. Security alert initiated." "Run!" I shouted, grabbing Miri and lifting her into my arms as we bolted down the corridor. The drone's alarm wailed behind us, echoing through the metal tunnels. I took a sharp left, then right, trying to lose the mechanical pursuer. There! Nira pointed to an access hatch marked 0G Maintenance, authorized personnel only. I slammed my palm against the emergency override, a trick I'd learned years ago. The hatch slid open, revealing a vast cylindrical shaft that ran through the station's central axis. A zero-gravity maintenance tube used for moving large equipment. "We have to go through," I said, already helping Nira into the opening. "It's our only chance." "I've never been in zero gravity," she admitted, her voice tight with anxiety. "Just push off gently and let momentum carry you. I'll help with Miri." As the security alarm continued to blare, we entered the shaft. The moment we passed the gravity field boundary, we began to float. I kept a firm grip on Miri, who let out a small squeal of surprise. "I'm flying!" she exclaimed, her fear instantly transforming into delight. Nira, however, looked terrified, her body rigid as she drifted aimlessly. I pushed off the wall with my legs, propelling myself toward her while keeping Miri tucked against my chest. "Hey," I said softly, catching Nira's arm. "I've got you." Her eyes locked with mine, pupils dilated with fear. "Don't let go." "Never," I promised, the word carrying more weight than I'd intended. Using small, controlled movements, I guided us through the shaft, teaching Nira how to navigate by pushing gently against surfaces. Miri adapted instantly, giggling as she experimented with weightlessness. "Mother, look! I can make myself spin!" Despite the danger, I couldn't help smiling at the child's resilience. Even Nira relaxed enough to marvel at her daughter's adaptability. "She's remarkable," I said, "like her mother." Nira's hand found mine in the weightlessness, our fingers intertwining. "You humans have a gift for finding joy in chaos." "One of our better qualities," I agreed. We floated in silence for a moment, suspended in the strange intimacy of weightlessness, our bodies drifting closer in the zero gravity. The danger around us seemed to heighten every sensation. The warmth of her hand in mine, the faint luminescence beneath her skin, the way her silver hair floated like a halo around her face. "If we survive this," she whispered, her lips close to my ear, "there's a Lyrian custom I'd like to share with you. A way my people connect when they find someone whose spirit resonates with theirs." The promise in her voice sent heat coursing through me. I'm suddenly very motivated to ensure our survival. Her laugh was soft and musical. "I thought you might be." The moment was broken by distant voices echoing through the shaft. Security personnel, searching the maintenance tunnels. "We need to move," I said, reluctantly releasing her hand. "The exit to the cargo bay should be about 50 meters ahead." As we pushed forward through the weightless environment, I found myself thinking not just about our immediate escape, but about possibilities I'd never considered before. A future that included this remarkable woman and her brave daughter. If we could just make it to Tessa's ship, to New Horizon, to freedom. We emerged from the zero-gravity shaft into a small maintenance alcove overlooking the cargo docking bay. Through the grated flooring, I could see Tessa's ship, the Maverick, a modified Terran freight-class vessel that had seen better days but was rumored to be faster than it looked. "That's our ride," I whispered, pointing it out to Nira and Miri. "Bay 17. Nira's eyes widened. "It's smaller than I expected." "But tough," I assured her, "like its captain." I activated my comm unit using a scrambled frequency. "Tessa, we're in position. How's it look down there?" "About damn time, Reeves." Tessa's voice crackled through the speaker. "I've got cargo manifest cleared and a departure window in 15 minutes. Get your ass down here." "We've got company," I warned. "3 of us." A pause. "The ones from the bulletin?" "Shit, Adam, you didn't mention." "I'll explain later. Can you get us out?" Another pause. Yeah, I can, but hurry." We descended to the docking level through a service ladder. The bay was busy with loaders and cargo handlers, most of them non-human species better adapted for heavy lifting. Perfect cover for us to blend in. "Stay casual," I murmured. "We're just workers heading to Bay 17. We were halfway across the floor when the station's alarm system blared to life. "Attention all personnel," an automated voice announced. "Security lockdown in progress. All departures suspended. Repeat, all departures suspended." Around us, workers paused in confusion. Station security officers, a mix of various alien species in uniform, began pouring into the bay from multiple entrances. "Run," I said, abandoning stealth. "Now!" We sprinted toward Bay 17, dodging between cargo containers. I could hear shouts behind us as we were spotted. Miri stumbled, and I scooped her up without breaking stride, her small arms wrapping tightly around my neck. The Maverick's cargo ramp was down, and a figure stood at the top. A woman with short, cropped black hair and the compact, coiled stance of someone ready for trouble. "Tessa." "Move it," she shouted, waving us forward. Behind her, the ship's engines were already cycling up, their low rumble vibrating through the deck plates. We reached the ramp just as the first stun blast sizzled past my ear. Tessa ducked back inside, reappearing with something in her hands. A military-grade pulse rifle that definitely wasn't on any cargo manifest. "Get aboard," she ordered, taking up a position at the top of the ramp. "I'll cover you." I pushed Nira ahead of me, still carrying Miri. As we reached the top, Tessa fired a series of precise bursts that sent the security officers diving for cover. "Seal the ramp," she shouted as we tumbled inside. "Nav computers preset. Hit the launch sequence." I raced to the cockpit, setting Miri down in a jump seat and strapping her in. Nira followed, her face tense but determined. "You know how to fly this thing?" she asked as I dropped into the pilot's chair. "Enough to get us out of dock," I replied, hands flying over the controls. "Tessa can take over once she's—" The ship rocked violently. Warning lights flashed across the console. "They've activated the docking clamps," I swore, punching the emergency release. Nothing happened. "We're locked down!" Tessa burst into the cockpit, her face flushed with exertion. "Move over," she ordered, sliding into the co-pilot's seat. "This isn't my first jailbreak." Her fingers danced across the controls with practiced precision. "They've overridden the standard release protocols, but every dock has a safety override, in case of fire or decompression." She pulled up a maintenance panel and cross-wired two systems that should never have been connected. The ship shuddered. "Brace yourselves," she warned. "This is going to be messy." The docking clamps released with a metallic shriek. Tessa slammed the throttle forward, and the Maverick lurched away from the dock, scraping against the bay doors that were beginning to close. "They're sealing us in," Nira cried. Tessa's face hardened into a mask of concentration. "Not today, they're not." She punched a series of commands into the weapon system, another feature freight ships weren't supposed to have. "Military-grade point defense system," she explained with a fierce grin. "Courtesy of the Earth Alliance Marines, 3rd Expeditionary Force, my old unit." A series of concentrated energy pulses shot from the ship's forward array, precisely targeting the bay door mechanisms. The doors shuddered to a halt, leaving just enough space for the Maverick to squeeze through. "Hold on to something!" Tessa shouted. The ship accelerated with bone-jarring force. Metal screamed against metal as we scraped through the gap, paint and hull plating peeling away. Then we were through, bursting into open space beyond the station. "Pursuit craft launching," Tessa announced calmly, as if commenting on the weather. "Station security, 3 of them, fast but lightly armed." "Can we outrun them?" I asked, helping Nira secure a wide-eyed but strangely calm Miri. "Better." Tessa's smile was predatory. "We can outfight them." What followed was a masterclass in combat piloting. Tessa spun the Maverick through maneuvers I wouldn't have thought possible for a freight vessel, evading fire while returning precisely targeted shots that disabled rather than destroyed our pursuers. "I don't want to kill them," she explained between barked commands for us to secure loose items. "They're just doing their jobs. But I'm not letting them stop us either." Within minutes, all 3 pursuit craft were drifting with disabled engines, and we were accelerating toward the jump point that would take us to New Horizon. As the adrenaline began to fade, I found Nira staring at me with an expression I couldn't quite read. "What?" I asked. "You humans," she said softly. "You're remarkable. On my world, we're taught that humans are unpredictable, dangerous. But I've never seen such effective compassion. Your friend disabled those ships without destroying them." "That's Tessa," I said with a shrug. "Ex-military, but she's got a code." "It's not just her," Nira insisted, her hand finding mine. "It's you, too. You risked everything for us, strangers from another species." Her skin began to glow again, more intensely than before, pulsing in rhythm with her heartbeat. The sight was mesmerizing. Is that normal? I asked, nodding toward the luminescence. Her lips curved in a smile that sent heat through my veins. Only with very strong emotion. My people can't hide what we feel. Not completely. It's why Reth... Her expression darkened momentarily, then cleared. It's why I knew I could trust you. Your emotions read true. From the pilot's seat, Tessa cleared her throat. We're clear of immediate pursuit and on course for the jump point. ETA 20 minutes. She glanced back at us, noting our clasped hands and Nira's glow with a raised eyebrow. I'll, go check the cargo. Make sure nothing shifted during our dramatic exit. As she left, Mary piped up from her jump seat. Are we safe now? I looked at Nira, then back to the child. Getting there, kiddo. Getting there. New Horizon Colony gleamed against the backdrop of space, a testament to human ingenuity and determination. Unlike the chaotic, patchwork architecture of Proxima Station, the colony displayed elegant symmetry, white structures with curved lines, expansive, transparent domes housing lush greenery, and orderly docking platforms extending like welcoming arms. It's beautiful, Nira whispered as we approached, her face pressed to the viewport. Mary stood on tiptoes beside her, eyes wide with wonder. Home of 30,000 humans and about 5,000 non-human residents, Tessa explained from the pilot's seat. Earth Alliance territory, which means Earth laws apply. Which means Reth has no legal claim on you here, I added, placing a reassuring hand on Nira's shoulder. Spousal ownership isn't recognized under Earth Alliance law. The landing was smooth, no pursuit, no emergency maneuvers. After the chaos of our escape, the normality felt almost surreal. Colonial security officers met us at the dock, but they were human, professional, and treated Nira and Mary with respect as Tessa explained the situation. We'll need formal statements, the lead officer said, but given the circumstances, temporary asylum is granted pending a full hearing, standard procedure. I felt Nira's relief as a physical thing, her hand squeezing mine, the subtle glow beneath her skin pulsing once before fading. See, I murmured, told you we'd make it. That feeling of triumph lasted exactly 3 hours. We were settled in temporary housing provided by the colony's refugee services, a modest but comfortable 2-bedroom apartment in the residential sector, when my comm unit buzzed with a message from Tessa. Problem, her voice was tight. Big problem. Get to the Colonial Administration building. Now. Leaving Mary with a kind human social worker, Nira and I hurried to the gleaming central building that housed New Horizons government. Tessa met us outside, her expression grim. Reth's here, she said without preamble. Arrived on a diplomatic shuttle 2 hours before us. That's impossible, I protested. How could he know? He didn't need to know, Tessa cut me off. He was already on his way. Turns out your blue friend's husband is more than just a wealthy merchant. He's the newly appointed trade envoy from the Lyrian Confederation. Nira's face drained of color. No, that can't be. He never mentioned political connections, Tessa continued. Big ones. He's in there right now, filing formal diplomatic protests, claiming his wife and child were abducted from Proxima Station by human extremists. That's absurd, I exploded. We have evidence of abuse, Nira's testimony, which is being characterized as the manipulation of a vulnerable alien spouse by human separatists. Tessa's voice was bitter. It's a diplomatic nightmare. The colony administrator is walking on eggshells. Inside the administration building, we were directed to a waiting area while officials conferred behind closed doors. Nira sat rigidly beside me, her earlier joy evaporated. I should have known, she whispered. The sudden wealth, the new associates. I was so focused on protecting Mary, I didn't question where his new influence came from. I took her hand. This changes nothing. We still have truth on our side. She looked at me with those deep indigo eyes. In my experience, truth rarely matters when politics are involved. You're not on Lyria anymore, I reminded her. You're in human territory now. We have different values. A door opened, and a tall, distinguished human man in colonial administrator's uniform approached. Miss Nira, Mr. Reeves? I'm Administrator Weber. If you join us, please. We followed him into a conference room. Seated at the far end of the table was Reth, looking far more composed than the drunken bully I'd encountered in the marketplace. Beside him sat another Lyrian male in formal diplomatic attire. Reth's eyes narrowed when he saw us, but he maintained a veneer of civility. "My wife," he said, his voice carefully modulated. "I've been so worried." I felt Nira tense beside me. Administrator Weber gestured for us to sit. "This is a complex situation," Weber began. "Envoy Reth has filed serious accusations of kidnapping and cultural interference. However, Ms. Nira has made equally serious claims of abuse and coercion." "Unfortunate misunderstandings," the Lyrian diplomat interjected smoothly. "What humans perceive as abuse is simply normal domestic discipline in Lyrian culture. We respect your laws within your territories, Administrator, but surely you understand the importance of cultural relativism." I couldn't contain myself. Cultural relativism? He was beating her. "Adam," Weber cautioned, then turned to Nira. "Miss Nira, you understand this puts us in a difficult position. While you're entitled to seek asylum, there are diplomatic considerations." Nira straightened in her chair. "I understand politics, Administrator, but I also understand that my daughter deserves safety." Her voice gained strength with each word. "On Lyria, I would have no recourse. Here, you offer something my world does not: justice." The next hours blurred into a procession of statements, evidence presentations, and legal arguments. I watched in awe as Nira transformed from a frightened refugee into a formidable advocate for herself and Mary. She was eloquent, precise, and unflinching as she detailed Reth's abuse. When the formal proceedings adjourned for the day, we were permitted to return to our temporary quarters under colonial protection. Mary greeted us with excited tales of her day with a social worker, seemingly untouched by the political storm surrounding her. After she fell asleep, Nira and I sat on the small balcony overlooking the colony's central park, the artificial night cycle bringing out stars in the dome above us. "You were amazing today," I told her, pouring 2 glasses of the wine Weber had sent as a gesture of goodwill. "I was terrified," she admitted, accepting the glass. "But watching you and Tessa, how humans fight for what's right even when it's difficult, it gave me courage." "That's all you," I insisted. "I just provided the transportation." Her laugh was soft in the darkness. "You provided much more than that, Adam Reeves." She set down her glass and moved closer to me on the small bench. "You showed me possibility." The glow beneath her skin intensified as she leaned toward me, illuminating her features in the dim light. Her hand found mine, fingers intertwining. "Remember that Lyrian custom I mentioned?" she murmured. "The one for when we find someone whose spirit resonates with ours?" My heart quickened. "I remember. Would you like me to show you?" Her voice was barely above a whisper, her lips close enough that I could feel her breath against my skin. Instead of answering, I closed the distance between us, capturing her mouth with mine. The kiss deepened, her body pressing against mine with surprising warmth. The luminescence beneath her skin brightened, casting us both in a soft blue glow. That night I learned that some things transcend species: desire, tenderness, the language of touch. Her skin against mine, warmer than human temperature, the way she responded to my caresses with that ethereal glow intensifying, the whispered guidance she offered for what pleased her people. It was both alien and achingly familiar. Afterward, as she lay curled against me, her silver hair spread across my chest, she traced the old scars on my shoulder with gentle fingers. "Tomorrow will be difficult," she murmured. "Reth won't give up easily." I kissed the top of her head. "Neither will we." Morning arrived with a soft chime from the apartment's communication system. Administrator Weber's voice came through, formal but not unkind. "The final hearing is scheduled for 0900 hours. Colonial security will escort you." I felt Nira stir beside me, her skin cool against mine in the pre-dawn dimness. Last night's intimacy had left a lingering connection between us, something deeper than physical pleasure. Among her people, she'd explained, such unions created a subtle empathic bond. I couldn't sense her emotions as a Lyrian might, but there was something, an awareness. "He's afraid," she whispered, eyes still closed. "Reth, I can feel it from here." "Good," I replied, brushing a strand of silver hair from her face. "He should be." We dressed in silence, preparing ourselves for the battle ahead. Miri emerged from her room clutching the stuffed toy she'd brought from Proxima Station, her eyes solemn beyond her years. "Father is here," she stated simply. Nira knelt before her daughter. "Yes, little one. But you don't need to see him if you don't want to." Miri's chin lifted in a gesture so reminiscent of her mother that it made my chest tighten. "I want to. I'm not afraid anymore." The Colonial Administration building buzzed with unusual activity. News of the diplomatic standoff had spread throughout New Horizon, drawing curious onlookers and media representatives. As we were escorted through the main atrium, I noticed something unexpected. Humans lining the pathway, their expressions supportive. Some nodded encouragement. Others reached out to briefly touch Nira's shoulder or Mary's head as we passed. "What's happening?" Nira whispered, clearly bewildered by the display. Tessa, waiting for us at the entrance to the hearing chamber, grinned. "Humans being humans. Word got out about what you're facing. People don't like bullies, especially alien bullies trying to use diplomatic pressure against a mother and child." Inside the chamber, the atmosphere was tense. Reth and his diplomatic companion sat rigidly on one side. Administrator Weber presided from a raised desk, flanked by colony legal advisors. The room was more crowded than yesterday. Additional colonial officials, Earth Alliance representatives, and even a few Lyrian observers had joined the proceedings. As we took our seats, I noticed Reth's gaze fixed on Nira with cold fury. He could undoubtedly sense the change in her. The intimacy we'd shared would be evident to any Lyrian through their empathic abilities. His hands clenched into fists on the table. Administrator Weber called the hearing to order. "Before we continue yesterday's proceedings, I understand there's new evidence to be presented?" I stood. "Yes, Administrator. During our escape from Proxima Station, I downloaded data from Rethvalen's personal accounts. I produced a data chip that Tessa had helped me extract from Proxima's central database during our frantic escape. These records show substantial payments to smuggling operations trafficking in restricted biotech, specifically empathic enhancement compounds derived from Lyrian genetic material." The Lyrian diplomat's posture stiffened. "This is outrageous. Illegally obtained information has no standing in these proceedings." "Perhaps not," Weber agreed, "but it does warrant investigation by both Earth Alliance and Lyrian authorities." He accepted the chip, passing it to an aide. "However, this hearing concerns asylum status, not potential criminal charges." Reth rose abruptly. "Enough of this charade. My wife and child are my property under Lyrian law. Their return is non-negotiable." "Sit down, envoy," Weber ordered sharply. "On New Horizon, no sentient being is property." "You don't understand our ways," Reth sneered. "Lyrian females require guidance, control. Their emotional nature makes them unstable without proper male supervision. This human has clearly manipulated my wife's fragile mind with his primitive mating rituals." A murmur of disgust rippled through the human observers. Weber's expression hardened. "Those primitive values include freedom and self-determination, envoy. Values the Earth Alliance holds sacred." Before Reth could respond, a small voice cut through the tension. "He hurt me." All eyes turned to Miri, who had risen from her seat. Her tiny blue hand clutched her stuffed toy, but her voice was steady. "Father hurt me when I couldn't make the lights. He said I was broken." Nira gasped softly beside me. "Miri, you don't have to." "I want to," the child insisted with that same determined lift of her chin. She turned to Administrator Weber. "He put needles in me to fix me, but they just hurt. Mother tried to stop him, so he hurt her too." The Lyrian diplomat paled visibly. "The child is confused. Medical treatments are sometimes necessary for proper development. Genetic manipulation of empathic abilities is forbidden by Lyrian law," one of the Lyrian observers interrupted, her voice cold. "As the Confederation's representative to the Interspecies Ethics Committee, I find these allegations deeply troubling." Reth's composure cracked. "The child is mine to improve as I see fit. Her empathic potential is extraordinary, worth millions on the right markets." The room erupted in shocked exclamations. In the chaos, Reth lunged across the space separating us, grabbing for Miri. I moved without thinking, intercepting him with a solid blow that sent him staggering backward. "Security!" Weber shouted as Reth recovered, his face contorted with rage. What happened next occurred so quickly that later accounts would differ. Reth produced a small device from his sleeve, a Lyrian nerve disruptor, illegal in Earth Alliance space. As he aimed it toward us, colonial security officers rushed forward, but they wouldn't reach us in time. I threw myself in front of Nira and Miri, bracing for pain. It never came. Instead, Reth convulsed and collapsed, the weapon clattering to the floor. Behind him stood Tessa, a small stunner in her hand and a satisfied expression on her face. Ex-military, she reminded the stunned room with a shrug. Never go anywhere unarmed. The aftermath unfolded with surprising swiftness. Reth was taken into custody, his diplomatic status immediately revoked by the horrified Lyrian representatives. The evidence of his illegal genetic experimentation on Miri, combined with his assault attempt during official proceedings, transformed the asylum hearing into a criminal investigation. 3 days later, we stood on the observation deck of New Horizons' main dome, watching as a Lyrian diplomatic vessel departed with Reth aboard, not as an envoy, but as a prisoner returning to face justice on his homeworld. It's really over, Nira murmured, her hand warm in mine. Miri played nearby with other children, human and alien alike, her laughter carrying across the deck. A new beginning, I corrected her. The colonial administration has approved your permanent residency, and Tess has offered me a partnership in her shipping business here. Nira turned to face me, her indigo eyes reflecting the starlight beyond the dome. When I fled with Miri that night, all I hoped for was safety. I never imagined... Her skin began to glow with that now familiar luminescence. Among my people, there's a tradition when a bond forms like ours. A promise ceremony. I drew her closer. On Earth, we have something similar. We call it marriage. Her laughter was like music. Always so direct, you humans. Is that a yes? Instead of answering, she kissed me, her body melting against mine as the glow of her skin brightened enough to draw amused glances from passers-by. Across the deck, Miri looked up from her play, sensing her mother's happiness. Her small face split into a radiant smile that illuminated her features with the same gentle light. That's the reason that would make anyone cry. Not from sorrow, but from witnessing how a single moment of courage, a child hiding behind a stranger's legs, could set in motion a chain of events that transformed 3 lives forever. In the vastness of space among countless stars and civilizations, sometimes the most powerful force isn't technology or politics or even physical strength. Sometimes it's simply a human standing his ground and saying, enough. Humanity, with all its flaws and limitations, possessing the audacity to believe that everyone deserves freedom, deserves safety, deserves love, that's what makes us remarkable. That's what makes us human.